Hey, I'm Randy Lewis, your sabbatical minister today, and I'm so excited to be with you in worship this morning. We have a really special service planned for you this morning as we launch our official Summer of Peace series. Yes, spending the next few months together learning the peace practices of inclusion, respect, and kindness. Today we have a message from our own Reverend Barbara Prose, Is Peace Possible? We have the story for all ages, I Am Peace, from our Director of Religious Education, Shannon Boston, and we'll receive a prayer from our own Reverend Davis, who will also lead us in our invocation and covenant in a few moments. And of course, we will hear the incredible sounds, of Rick Fortner, David Smith, and Tommy Poole, Matt Edwards on the drums. Now, if this is your first time joining, please fill out the Connect card that's located in the back of your pew facing you and drop it in the offering plate when it comes around. And you don't have to wait for the offering plate to come around. You can give at any time, here or online, by texting Love BB to 73256. That's LOVEBB to 73256. For those of you online, let us know a little bit more about you in the chat, and one of our welcoming souls will reach out to you and let you know a little bit more about us and how you can get connected. Also, please share the link of this service. Let people know what a wonderful community All Souls is. Like us on Facebook, Twitter, Roku, is that right? So also, if you're joining us online, please drop your prayer requests and concerns into the chat. So in a few moments, we can drop a stone for you and hold space for you in the sanctuary. Our child is lit today by member Wayne Sturba, who moved to Tulsa with his family and joined All Souls and has taught meditation classes for our Wednesday community connections. Now let's spend just a moment making peace possible by standing and passing it amongst one another. Greet your neighbor either here or online in the chat as I invite Reverend Gerald Davis to lead us in our invocation and covenant. Let us greet one another.
Well, don't we feel summery? Are you feeling it, church? Yes, indeed. Well, then, good morning. Good morning. You know, this is indeed a day that God has made. Let us then rejoice in it and be glad. And let us count our many blessings. We are grateful for the capacity to see, hear, feel, and understand. We are grateful for the incredible gift of life. And we are especially grateful for the ties of love which bind us together, giving dignity, meaning, worth, and joy to all our days. Please join me in our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Welcome to All Souls, where we practice peace and love beyond belief.
Thank you. You may be seated. Let faith and hope with love arise. Let beauty, truth, and good be sung through every land by every tongue.
We light this chalice with hope in our hearts for peace. The symbol of the flame of freedom reminds us that an ideal is one thing, while living up to it is quite another. Only when we put forth efforts to realize our ideals do they become real. Peace does not come from inaction. Peace comes from the indomitable will. We're each the guardians of freedom and of peace.
Good morning. I have a couple of stories for you today. Wonderful. The first comes from the Bible, Luke chapter 8, verse 22. Jesus calms the storm. One day, Jesus said to his disciples, "Let's go over to the other side of the lake." So they got into a boat and set out. And as they sailed, he fell asleep. A squall came down to the lake so that the boat was being swamped and they were in great danger. And the disciples went and woke him, saying, "Master, Master, we're going to drown." And he got up and rebuked the wind and the raging waters. And the storm subsided and all was calm. "Where is your faith?" he asked the disciples. And in fear and amazement, they asked one another, "Who is this? He commands even the winds and the water, and they obey him." I ask you, how do you think Jesus did this? How did he stay calm in the face of a raging storm in the middle of the lake when everyone around him was losing their minds? There are ways, and I want to share a few of them with you. Through Susan Verde's book, I Am Peace, a book of mindfulness with art by Peter H. Reynolds. There are times when I worry about what may happen next and what has happened before. The thoughts in my head are like rushing water, and I feel like a boat with no anchor, being carried away. I give myself a moment. I take a breath, and I tell myself it's all right. I feel the ground beneath my feet, and I steady myself. And I start to notice the here and the now. My thoughts begin to settle, and my mind begins to clear, and I am peace. I can watch my worries gently pop and disappear and let things go. I can say what I feel inside out loud. I know myself. I can share kindness with others, and I make a difference. I can hug a tree and thank it for its beauty and strength. I can connect with nature. I can watch the clouds make shapes against the sky. I can know wonder. I can taste and smell and touch and hear and see what is all around me. I use my senses. I can feel my breath fill my whole body and tune in to me. And now the water is still. I have found my anchor, and everything is all right. I don't need to worry about before or after. I am this moment. I am peace. And now I can share my peace with others and hope that it is carried away to those who need it. And I dream that we are all peace. I think that if the stories are true, that this is what Jesus was able to do. So children, will you join me in practicing being peace? Will you join me in a song about peace? It has 3 words that all mean the same thing. The first one's peace. The second one is peace in Arabic. Does anybody know peace in Arabic? Salam. And peace in Hebrew? Shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Goes like this. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. That's all there is. Peace, salam, shalom. 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 Let's try it in a round. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. We believe in peace, salam, shalom. 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 Peace, salam,
Peace, salam, shalom. It's a song from Emma's Revolution, a song written in response to 9/11. I drop a stone for peace today. We chose the water and stone ritual today as opposed to the candle lighting because we believe water to be the element that more closely aligns with peace. As the song goes, peace like a river. Consider calm and still waters. You and I are in that flow. We are the very space and presence of peace. And we will continue passing that peace to those who are near us. I drop a stone for the healing peace we share. And in the spirit of prayer and peace, we drop a stone for Dick Leeser, who's hospitalized following a heart attack. We drop a stone for Gary Larson, who's recovering in the hospital following a fall. We drop a stone for Iris Lebec in observance of the 10th anniversary of the death of her son, Nick Tripolitis, a service that I officiated 10 years ago in this very sanctuary. We drop a stone for Patsy Selman and John Downing on the loss of Patsy's father, Hugh Selman, who passed away Friday at his home, surrounded by love and family. For those online, we drop a stone for Dorothy and Donnie Shakota, their wedding anniversary, June 10th. A stone for John Biter, and his wife's anniversary on June 9th. A celebratory stone for Sam Shakota on her promised son, who's turning 21 tomorrow. A stone of recuperation to Clara Cross's daughter, Natalie, who is sick with COVID. May she recover soon. I invite you now to name aloud someone you would like to include in this sacred space.
Teddy Lachman.
I drop a stone for all those precious names, spoken and the ones that remain unspoken yet, but yet are still in our hearts. I invite you now to stand in memory or mourning in honor of a loved one who you've lost in the past year, or one's death, or whom this is the closest Sunday to the anniversary of your loved one's death. And please remain standing until the spoken prayer begins after the silence.
You may be seated. Hear now this prayer. O gracious God, Spirit of life and love, we are blessed, and because we are blessed, we gather in this place of sanctuary to share our blessings with one another and to receive the power that comes from within. That power that moves us to say and do the good works you would have us to do. that power that springs alive just when we feel like we can't. That power that says we are called to speak truth to those who would cast it aside. That power that says, yes, you are tired, but you still can move mountains. That power that we call peace that dwells within us. That power that says, I love you. I love you. Gracious God, Spirit of life and love, let us know this love. This love that says, I will not let you fall. I love you. And so the peace that comes from love moves us and animates us and gives us the strength we didn't think we had. I love you. That is power. And that power is peace. Peace. Keep us in this place of remembrance that we may keep this going forward, moving ourselves, loving one another despite our differences, knowing that we are called to be peace. And so we do pray. In your holy name, amen. Salam. Shalom. Peace. Be still.
Peace, peace, wonderful peace, coming down from love above, sweep over my spirit. Forever I praise in fathomless billows of love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Sing it with me now. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, when I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in when I breathe, I breathe. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace. Join us. Like a river in my got peace in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow. Sometimes there's pain.
Right.
I've got pain
That too.
like an arrow.
arrow.
I've got
got
pain.
pain.
Somebody may have pain like
Like
an
an
arrow
arrow.
in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. There is more love
Yes.
somewhere. There is more love somewhere.
I'm gonna keep on till I find there is more somewhere.
Would you sing that with us? There is more love somewhere.
There is more There is more love. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on. I'm gonna keep on
Till I find it.
till I find it. There is more love somewhere. Let there be peace. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. And if you know it, please sing along. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with love for each other, with love for each other, family all are we, family all are we. Let us walk with each every step I take.
With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow.
Take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. And let it begin. Yes, that's right. It is possible. It is possible.
These gentlemen create peace. I don't know about y'all, but I was feeling pretty restless listening to some of those songs. Anybody else? Feeling a little antsy in their seat? Like, what are we doing sitting here singing about peace? Because sometimes, it just does not feel like peace is possible at all. At all. At all. One of you told me recently, just this past week, actually, Barbara, summer of peace. What were y'all thinking? It's more like a summer of plagues. And I started thinking about why it feels that way. We had first plague, rain, it wouldn't go away. And then second plague, these COVID infections that just won't quit, that we're getting accustomed to living with. And then third plague, you read about more wildfires. Right now, wildfires in New Mexico. And then, of course, fourth and fifth plagues, a school shooting in Uvalde, Texas. And then a mass shooting here in Tulsa. You might be able to persuade me that we are in a summer of plagues, not in a summer of peace. Only the United States sees mass shootings so frequent that at least 38 more have occurred since the Uvalde shooting, according to the Gun Violence Archive, which I learned reading an article in the New York Times on Friday by Rachel Louise Snyder entitled, "We Need Hope to Combat Violence That Won't Arrive Without Action." Action, yes, that's something to hold on to, a summer of action. Doesn't that sound better? Summer of action, I, for one, agree. I am much more experienced at taking action than at practicing peace. Somehow, my impassioned purpose soothes or even helps submerge the pain I feel. I can even enjoy the fight and that feeling that they're wrong and we're right. Salvation by works and not by faith is how I was raised in my humanist UU adjacent household. Peace? Peace? Impossible. Consider human nature. And so, unimpressed by Jesus' supernatural ability to stop the storm, for years I wondered how on earth he would or could, for that matter, sleep through a life-threatening storm. How irresponsible of him, I thought. Do something. Don't just let us sink and die. How can you be sleeping when our very lives are at risk? Strangely, this week I imagine this is precisely what many of us would like to shout to many of our senators and representatives and state and local leaders right now. Wake up! Don't sleep through the end of the world. As we know it, do something. Our children are dying because of your inaction. People did get out into the streets over the weekend. Maybe you were among them to say pretty much that. Wake up. Do something. Well, I know a little girl named Amelia, and she did something this past week. She wrote something. Amelia and her parents are members here at All Souls. Amelia wrote a song, and she gave me permission to share it with you this morning. I will speak the words as they're projected on the wall. I will not sing the song. These are the words Amelia wrote. It's not the end of the world. Not quite yet. Do the winds still blow? Do the ocean still waves? Do we still stand on our land? It's not the end of the world, not quite yet. I know it feels like it. Just keep marching through the hot, boiling springs and the cold, freezing winters. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end. Not the end. Not the end. Not the end of the world. Amelia is 9 years old. Knowing that more and more children are worrying about violence in places where they once felt safe, like in our schools. I turned this week to the teachings of Thich Nhat Hanh for more answers to that question, is peace possible? For more answers than the ones I grew up with, no. Consider human nature. Thich Nhat Hanh is one of the great teachers of Buddhism in the West and the author of many books, including Being Peace, Love in Action, Living Buddha, Living Christ, and Going Home, Jesus and Buddha as Brothers. Born in Vietnam in the 1920s, Thich Nhat Hanh became a monk at age 16. And when war came to his country, he and many other monks left their monasteries and actively engaged in helping victims of war while also communicating their desire for peace. In those years, Thich Nhat Hanh met with many world leaders, including the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Pope Paul VI, Thomas Merton, and then Secretary of Defense, Robert McNamara. I've heard Thich Nhat Hanh described as a cross between a cloud, a snail, and a heavy piece of machinery. A true religious presence. Thich Nhat Hanh tells a story about how in 1976, he got involved trying to rescue boat people in the Gulf of Siam. The project was called When Blood is Shed, We All Suffer. At the time, not many people knew that refugees from Vietnam were being refused entry into countries like Thailand and Malaysia and Singapore, and that people in these small boats were dying in the sea. Secretly, people organized and hired ships, large and small, to transport water, food, and medicine to the people, hoping to transport them to Australia and Guam and France, bringing awareness to the rest of the world of these people's plight, the boat people, you might remember them being called. From time to time, we saw things you cannot believe. Thich Nhat Hanh writes, 60 people had just destroyed their boat so that the Malaysian police would not send them back out to sea. But the police were repairing their boat in order to do just that. The 60 people on this boat had just witnessed the deaths of everyone on another boat that had just capsized. The women and children could not stop crying. The men were just staring into empty space. When their project was exposed, thanks to media coverage, the police came to people's homes, including Thich Nhat Hanh's, to stop the rescue mission. At that time of night, Hanh writes, no one would answer the phone calls. Even the French embassy was closed. So, all of us practiced walking meditation inside our small flat for the rest of the night. If you practice conscious breathing before some difficulty arises, you will be prepared. Thich Nhat Hanh tried to get permission to entering a neighboring country in order to continue the rescue operation, but was denied a visa by everyone. He continues, there were more problems than seemed possible to solve in just 24 hours. So I decided to practice the meditation topic, if you want peace, peace is with you immediately. I was surprised to find myself quite calm, not afraid or worried about anything. I was not just being careless, this was truly a peaceful state of mind, and in that state, I was able to overcome this difficult situation. The idea came to me to ask the French embassy to intervene on my behalf, and at 5 minutes to noon, just when offices was closed and I would have to leave the country, an extension was granted. As long as I live, I will never forget those seconds of sitting meditation, those breaths, those mindful steps during that night and that morning. Success came when I faced the problem directly. I vowed that if I could not have peace at that moment, I would never be able to have peace. If I could not be peaceful in the midst of danger, the kind of peace I might realize in easier times would not mean anything. Practicing the topic, if you want peace, peace is with you immediately, I was able to resolve many problems, one after another. This is why we've chosen a summer of peace as our overarching theme this summer, and why we're focusing on one of our peace practices each month, starting with inclusion as we celebrate Pride Month together in June, continuing with respect as we celebrate, honor, and work to protect and strengthen our democracy in July, and finishing the summer with kindness in August when our children return to regular school and Sunday school. We can all be grateful to Shannon Boston for introducing these peace practices to our community here at All Souls. I'm grateful because those two words, peace plus practice, remind me that peace is not a permanent state I will attain or ever remain in, but instead that peace is a constant presence I can enter into. Peace isn't just possible, it's an imperative today. Learning how to cultivate peace, to plant seeds of peace, to practice peace is so necessary now because anyone can buy a gun, apparently. Am I right? Anyone can shoot a gun and kill people. That has become perfectly clear. But who do you know who knows how to make peace? Who do you know who knows how to create peace? I don't think Shannon knew about the work of psychiatrist Dr. Gilligan before this week, but in books like Violence, Reflections on a National Epidemic, Gilligan's theories affirm our peace practices. Dr. Gilligan is a clinical professor of psychiatry in the School of Medicine at NYU and an adjunct professor in the School of Law, and he's worked for decades with the most violent people our society produces in prisons and in prison mental hospitals. He concluded that violence is always, he uses that word always, a desperate and risky attempt to gain respect, attention, and recognition for oneself or the group with which one identifies. His theory is interesting for many reasons, including that it explains a whole range of violent behaviors, from individual acts of homicide and suicide to collective acts of violence like war and terrorism and genocide. All violence is an attempt to replace shame with self-esteem, he writes. What tragedy teaches and morality plays miss is that violence is an attempt to achieve justice, or what the violent person perceives as justice for themselves or whomever it is on whose behalf they're being violent. Practicing peace, then, isn't passive or inactive. Not at all. It means we practice feeling at all the pain and the impotence and still find ways to choose to be inclusive, respectful, and kind. Peace is not the absence of conflict, it is conflict well managed. And there's something happening in Texas this week, in Texas, that's a great example. The famous Van Cliburn competition, piano competition, is taking place at Texas Christian University, while Wimbledon has said it would not allow players from Russia or Belarus to play this summer, and FIFA Soccer's international governing body has kicked out all Russian teams from global competition. The director of the Van Cliburn competition decided to include not only 1 Ukrainian, but 6 Russian pianists and 2 pianists from Belarus. He's gotten into some hot water for making that choice. He has warned competitors that they can't make any political statements in support of Putin. But because this man, Marquis, is taking the risk to include Russian pianists, we're invited to see and feel their full humanity. Ilya Schmuckler, 27, said that at times he feels guilty about the invasion. The key words for me, he said, are shame and responsibility. Denis Linik, 26, a pianist from Belarus, said he considered withdrawing from the competition because it didn't feel right to compete. And the fact that you're Russian doesn't mean you're a bad person, said Sergei Tanin, a pianist from Siberia who added that he had lost engagements and invitations to competitions since the start of the war. I don't think sanctioning a young pianist who is 22 years old will have an effect on the Russian government, said Jacques Marquis, the president and CEO. That will only play into Putin's handbook if we isolate the Russian people. Inclusion, respect, and kindness are all words that require courage and intention. They are not passive at all. Nonviolence does not mean an absence of action. When I was a child, I learned that people were violent and capable of doing the very worst things. I didn't learn until later in life that we can also learn and choose to be nonviolent. On this Sunday morning, I want Amelia, who wrote that song, to know that. I want her to see that we're awake. I want her to know that someone sees she's afraid and that we are not sleeping through the storm, even if we are practicing peace. I want our practices of inclusion and respect and kindness to calm the raging waters in our communities today. I really think that when Jesus was in that boat, staying calm and being still, he was showing the disciples yet again that there's another way, a way different from being consumed by our fear and our anger, our shame, and our violence. Now, I want to teach Jo Henry, my granddaughter, to practice peace for her own well-being, which means I'm going to have to start with myself. It's true for all these practices. As a young woman, I wanted most of all to bring peace into places full of conflict, but I didn't know the work started within. And I want my granddaughter to have a community like this one where people will teach her how to hold her ground and stay true to her values, no matter what storms are raging around her. So when I see Jo Henry at the end of August, I want to start teaching her our song. When I breathe in peace. And when I breathe out love. It's not just a song. Practicing nonviolence takes great effort and great strength, and it requires restraint and resilience. Mahatma Gandhi called it satyagraha, or soul force. And of course, sometimes inaction, just sitting and breathing, can be harmful, and silence can be violence. We saw that dramatically unfold in Uvalde. But being nonviolent, the way I'm talking about it, does not mean being inactive or passive. To the contrary, practicing peace this way means transforming the pain we feel for a purpose so we actually can be the change we want to see in the world. Thich Nhat Hanh says, if you want peace, peace is with you immediately. Shall we try it?
When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out.
We teach our children peace practices in this community for a purpose. Because once peace is alive in you, you can really pass it to other people. Just the way our anxiety is contagious, our peace is contagious too. And in a day when no horror seems impossible, when the unimaginable is already here, this practice is so important because it's not the end of the world yet. Not yet. And we are a people waging peace, not war. We are a people befriending our feelings of fear and rage, of apathy and indifference, of hopelessness and helplessness. We are a people facing our problems directly. We are a people practicing inclusion, respect, and kindness for a purpose, because we know if we want peace, peace is not only possible, it is with us immediately. So I leave you with a question. What peace practice will you pick up this summer? Because peace is now an imperative. It is not only possible, it is an imperative. And so I'm calling you all aboard. All aboard. If you didn't have time to buy a ticket, I'm still inviting you. All aboard. We are on a peace train.
I've been happy lately, thinking about the good things to come. I believe it could be something good has begun. I've been smiling lately, dreaming about the world as a one. I believe it could be something good to come. Up on the edge of darkness, out on the edge of darkness, there rides a peace train. Peace train,
Take this country, come take me home again.
out on the edge of darkness,
There rides a peace train. Peace train, take this country, come take me
Sing it, Rick.
home again. Sounding louder, ride on the peace train. Come on now, peace train, holy roller. Everyone jump on the peace train.
right on the. Go ahead, Tommy. All right, Rick, I know you have a special part you wanna teach it to us?
Now, how does it start? Just a second. Let me think. Starts on a G or a C?
Yes, G. Get on board. You gotta get on board.
Thank you for the help there.
Get on board. You gotta get on board.
Thank you. Now we need your help.
Get on board. You gotta get on board.
Thank you.
Get on board. You gotta get on board.
Fantastic.
Everybody, come on. Get on board. You gotta get on board.
That's it.
Peace train. Get on board. You gotta get on board on the peace train. Get on board. You gotta get on board.
You're sounding great.
Get on board. You gotta get on board. One more time. Get on board. You gotta get on board. Get on board. You gotta get on board. Woo! I love it.
Yeah. Look at Gerald back here. Woo. Well, blessed are the peacemakers. Yes. Ooh, every week here at All Souls, we give away our peace with our plate to organizations doing the work of love, justice, and care in our communities. Today's offering will go to the Osage Forest of Peace. All right. A contemplative retreat center located in Sand Springs, Oklahoma. They provide sacred space for individual retreats, group retreats, and a day of respite from the busy world. They encourage the cultivation of peace, healing, and renewal in an introspective and interspiritual environment. So when the offering plate comes around, please give generously. But before we accept our offering, we do have a few exciting announcements. Today is Joining Sunday. Joining Sundays are the opportunity to meet with an All Souls minister, ask questions, and connect with others who are joining as well. So it's happening today at 1 o'clock in room 112. All right. A Lifespan Religious Education Director, Shannon Boston, and Youth Director, Corey Smith, will be in the foyer to meet with you and to talk to you about programming for children. So we need volunteers. So if you can help, please go out and see Shannon and Corey. Congregation B'nai Omuna and All Souls Church are continuing the speaker series, Religious Views on Reproductive Justice, on Wednesdays at 7 p.m., ending on June 22nd. So there's 2 more weeks to join, right? 2 more weeks. Yes, this week here at All Souls. The series features thought leaders and activists in conversations with Reverend Barbara Prose of All Souls and Rabbi Mark Fitzerman of Congregation B'nai Omuna. The June 15th event features Reverend Dr. Daniel Cantor, Senior Minister of the First Unitarian Church of Dallas. He'll be presenting on a model for congregational resistance. And next Sunday, June 19th, is Father's Day, as well as Juneteenth. So we'll have a special service with the Bishop Carlton Pearson, bringing a message, and afterwards we'll have hot dogs following the service. And that's not to replace our Father Day meals. That's just to tie us over until we get to yes.
Right.
And come celebrate with us, All Souls, starting June 22nd. We'll be building the Pride Float right out here in the parking lot, right? That's where we started. So come out if you want to help build the Pride Float. And then on the 26th, Saturday of June, we will march with Yahweh and others, lifting up our inclusive and massive pride flag in the parade, and ending with our gathering of our families at the Pride Park. And I believe that's in Central Park. Now let's receive our most generous offering.
Imagine. We must keep imagining peace. Our children, our grandchildren, our teachers, all healthcare workers, they need us to keep imagining peace. Blessed are the peacemakers. So now go and be blessed and be a blessing. Amen.
You gotta get on board. Get on board. You gotta get on board. Get on board. You gotta get on board. Get on board.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You gotta get on board.